Okay, let's finally go over this assignment. See what we did right and what we did wrong. This was kind of a long one. They're all going to be kind of long now. But number one, what are some benefits of representing data sets using frequency distributions? What are some benefits of using graphs of frequency distribution? Really, the answer is the same for both of them. It's easy to compare your data. By using frequency distributions and their graphs, we can look at the data from a perspective of how it looks visually. So if we use a frequency distribution and we see that 34 out of 50 fall within a certain category, we can easily see that that is the most popular choice, things like that. Number two, why should the number of classes in a frequency distribution be between 5 and 20? The reason for that is because anything less than 5 would not give you enough information. Anything more than 20 will give you too much information spread out across a wider gap. So it's just basically number of classes should be between those numbers so you can get real results. From your info. What is the difference between class limits and class boundaries? Remember, the class boundaries are falling between categories or fall between classes. What is the difference between relative frequency and cumulative frequency? Relative is a comparison of one category or one class with the rest. Cumulative is adding them all together. After constructing an expanded frequency distribution, what should the sum of the relative frequencies be? They should all add up to 1 because they should all be like a percentage, like 0.2, which is 20%. So adding them all up, they should all add up to 1, which would be 100% of the distribution. Number 6, what is the difference between a frequency polygon and an ogive? An ogive is a cumulative frequency distribution, so it should start at the bottom and go up the entire time. So if we have an ogive, it's going to look like this. Wow. It's going to look like this and work its way up to the top. Whereas a frequency polygon can be all over the place. Like that. Ogive is always going to end up with the total amount. In exercises 7 through 10, determine whether a statement is true or false. If it's false, rewrite it as a true statement. In a frequency distribution, the class width is the distance between the lower and upper limits of a class. That is true. The midpoint of a class is the sum of its lower and upper limits divided by 2. That is also true. An ogive is a graph that displays relative frequencies. That is false. And then in order to make it correct, that would be cumulative frequencies. Class boundaries ensure that consecutive bars of a histogram touch. That is true. All right, first 10 down. Now they get harder. Number 11. Use the minimum and maximum data entries in the number of classes defining class width, lower class limits, and upper class limits. So I'm just going to make a little chart. There are 7 classes. Oops. Let me get this chart correct. Okay, so to find the class width, I do my max minus my min, so 64 minus 9. Divided by my number of classes, which is 7. That gives me about 7.8, which is approximately 8. So my class width is 8. Now I start with my lowest number, 9. And then I add 8 to it to get the next limit. And you just keep adding 8. I don't know why I just wrote 18. Lord. Keep adding 8. Gives you 25, 33, 41, 49, and 57. From there, you just fill in the number that's lower than this one. So it'd be 24, 32, 40, 48, 56, and then it goes up to 64. Your next class one would be 65 if there was one. So you just do 64. All right, so that's number 11. Number 12 is going to have 6 classes. So we start by doing 88 minus 12. On a rough day here. 88 minus 12 divided by 6. So 88 minus 12 gives you 76. 76 divided by 6 gives you 12.6 repeating. So your number is going to be 13. Just remember, it wants you to do a convenient number. So we're going to say 13. Now you start with the min, which is 12, add 13, 25. We're doing 6 classes. So it's going to be 38, then 51, then 64, and then add 13 more, give you 77. So 24, 37, 50, 63, 76. Then, even though this is the last class, if we know what the next one is, this is just the easiest way to do it. Or you just add 12 to this. So it's going to give you 89. Whenever you do this, you should always make sure that your minimum number is covered and your maximum number is covered. 89 is higher than 88, so we're in good shape. Number 13. The min is 17, max is 135, you have 8 classes. So you do 135 minus 17 and divide that by 8. That gives you 14.75. So you're going to go up by 15 each time. 17, and then you go plus 15, gives you 32. Then plus 15 gives you 47. Then plus 15 gives you 62. Then plus 15 gives you 77. Then plus 15 gives you 92. Plus 15 gives you 107. Plus 15 gives you 122. How many is that? 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. And then 31, 46, 61, 76, 91, 106, 121. And then you add 14 to this, and you get 136. That's it for number 13. Number 14. Got a minute 54 and a max of 247. You're going to go 10 classes. So you do 247 minus 54. Divide that by 10. Gives you 19.3. So you round up. You go 20. So you're starting at 54. And then you just go up 20. 74, 94, 114, 134, 154, 174, 194, 8, and 214, 9, and then 234, 73, 93, 113, 133, 153, 173, 193, 213, 233, and then you add 19 to this and you get 253. All right, so that's number 14. Okay, number 15 says use frequency distribution to find A, the class width, B, the class midpoints, and C, the class boundaries. All right, so our class width is going to be 20 to 30. So your class width, well, it's going to be 20 to 31 technically. All right, it's all the numbers that are included. So 20 to 29 is going to give you 10. And then number 30 is going to give you 11. So your class width is going to be 11. Part B says your class midpoints. So I'm going to list them out over here. Solve room. Your midpoints are going to be adding the two numbers together, 20 plus 30, and then dividing by 2. So give you 25 for the first one, and 31 plus 41 divided by 2 is 36 for the second one. Then 47. Next one's going to be 58. Then 69. Then 80, then 91. You'll notice something about the midpoints. I was real stupid just now and calculated them all. But if you look at the midpoints, they all go up by 11. Part C, class boundaries. These are the easy ones. Your class boundaries are going to be 19.5, 30.5, 41.5, 52.5, 74.5. Oh, sorry, I'm not doing the upper class. I'm just doing the lower right now. 63.5. I think I said that. 74.5. 85.5. Now, those are all your class boundaries. So you have to have 19.5 in the beginning, just so you cover that one. And then at the end, you do 96.5 too. So it's basically 19.5. Then you just go halfway between 30 and 31. It should be 30.5. Then 41.5. It's real easy. I think you get the point. All right, number 16. So for number 16, your class width is going to be 10, because it goes from 0 to 9. Your midpoints are going to start at 4.5. Then it's going to go 14.5, 24.5, 34.5, 44.5, 54.5, and 64.5. Class boundaries. You can't really have a negative, so you would just have 0 as your starting point. Or you could say negative 0.5. You can't go negative time to work. So class boundary for this one's a little rougher. Doesn't really matter on the bottom end. You're really looking for what's in between the classes. It'd be 9.5, 19.5, 29.5, 39.5, 49.5, 59.5, and then your last one, 69.5. The only reason you really need this beginning and end ones is so that your chart looks right whenever you do a histogram for it. But it really doesn't matter. Number 17, use a frequency distribution in exercise 15 to construct an expanded frequency distribution as shown in example 2. So I didn't remember exactly what that was, so I had to go back and look at it. But basically, we had to create a frequency distribution that had the class frequency, which is what's given so far, your midpoints, relative frequency, and cumulative frequency. So I'm going to have a chart that has one, two, three, four, five. Okay, so our original class was, class, then frequency. We have to find a midpoint, the relative frequency, and the cumulative frequency. Okay, your class is already given to you. And so are your frequencies. 19, 43, 68, 69, 74, 68, and 24. So now we have to find the midpoints, which I think we did in the last question. That was 25. And then 36. What does it know for a second there? 47, 58, 69, 80, and then 91. All right, relative frequency, you take all your frequencies and add them together. So if we take all those numbers and add them together, it gives us 365. Now you take your frequency that's given to you, 19, and divide it by 365. So your first one's going to give you 0.05. Second one is 0.117, so 0.12. Third one is 0.19. Fourth one is real similar. It's 0.19 as well. Fifth one is 0.20. Sixth one, 0.19. And the last one is 0.066. Add those together, those should come close to 1. I'm not going to be perfect because we're estimating, rounding it off, but it should come real close. Okay, now we do cumulative frequency. I don't know what I wrote down for this. So for your cumulative frequency, you're just adding the numbers together. Let me make sure we're not supposed to do cumulative relative frequency. Okay, I went back and looked, and we don't have to do cumulative relative frequency. It's just cumulative frequency. So we're just adding our frequencies together. First one is 19. Then you do 19 plus 43. Gives you 62. Then you do 62 plus 68. Gives you 130. Then you add 69. Gives you 199. Add 74. Gives you 273. Add 68. Gives you 341. Then add 24. And it should give you 365. It's not too bad, just a lot of work. Okay, number 18. Doing the same thing, but for the other chart. So our classes are from 0 to 9, 10 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, and 60 to 69. Frequencies: 188, 372, 264, 205, 83, 76, and 32. Midpoints. Already listed those out, but it's 4.5, 14.5, 24.5, 34.5, 44.5, 54.5, and 64.5. High relative frequencies, so we have to add all these frequencies up. Should be 188 plus 372 plus 264 plus 205 plus 83 plus 76 plus 32. Gives us 1,220. And for relative frequency, you just divide whatever frequency that is in each class by 1220. So 188 divided by 1220 gives us about 0.16. 372 divided by 1220 gives us about 0.30. 264 divided by 1220 gives you about 0.22. 205 divided by 1220 gives you about 0.17. 83 divided by 1220 gives you about 0.07. 76 divided by 1220 gives you 0.06. And 32 divided by 1220 gives you about 0.03. Again, add those all up, those should give you close to 1. In this case, it gave us 1.01. That's real good. Our cumulative frequencies. First one's always going to be exactly what the frequency was. Now you just do this frequency plus this one. Gives you 560. Then you add the next one on. 824. Then 1029. Then 1112. Then 1188. And 1220. All right, moving on. Number 21, use the ogive to approximate the number in the sample. So the ogive just gives you the total amount as it goes up. So for 21A, there would be 50 gorillas in the sample. 22A, also 50 gorillas in the sample. Then the location of the greatest increase in frequency, that's just where you have the biggest jump. So it'd be between 345.5 and 365.5. Over here, it's going to be between 64 and 66. So that's 21 and 22. Those were pretty easy. Moving on, 23, cumulative frequency for a weight of 345.5 pounds. So cumulative frequency will be the total amount going up to that point which would be 15. Then the weight for which the cumulative frequency is 35, so you just go up to 35. And what weight is that? 385.5. The number of gorillas that weigh between 325.5 and 365.5. So there are 5 that were below 325.5 leading up to that point. And then up to 365.5. Now you're at 30, so you just do 30 minus 5. There'd be 25 between those two. Number of gorillas that weigh more than 405.5. See here, it looks like 42. And so you just do 50 minus 42, gives you 48. Gives you 48. 50 minus 42 gives you 8. All right. Number 24, cumulative frequency for a height of 72 inches. Just go out to where it's 72, go up to that dot. Looks like about 48, 49, somewhere in that range. I'd say 49. Height for which the cumulative frequency is 25. Just go up to 25. That would be at 66. Number of adult females between 62 and 66 inches tall. There's 5 below 62. So you go up to 66, it's 25, so you do 25 minus 5. Number of adult females taller than 70. It looks like about 44, so you do 50 minus 44, gives you 6. So those ones aren't too bad at all. It's just interpreting what's on the graph. Number 25. Identify the class with the greatest and the class with the least relative frequency. Okay, this is where it's open for a little bit of interpretation. Not as far as with what the results are, but how you report the results. I will accept either way. Okay, so if we're identifying the class with the greatest and the class with the least relative frequency. Okay, the class with the greatest is literally just where it's at on the bar, on the highest bar. So there's your highest bar. That would be the class that is between 39 and 40. Right? Because there's our midpoint, which is 39.5. This midpoint is 38.5. So it's going to be between 39 and 40. You could also just tell me the class that's 39 and a half. I would accept that. Class with the least is between 34 and 35. Part B, approximate the greatest and least relative frequencies. So our greatest relative frequency is about 0.25. The least relative frequency is, I would say, 0.01 or 0.02. Part C, approximate the relative frequency of the second class. So we go over to the second class and approximate that. Say it's about 0.08. All right, number 26. This class would be between 19 and 20, and then 19 and a half. Part B is the greatest and least relative frequencies. The greatest would be here, and it would be about 40%. And the lowest would be here, and I'd say it'd be about 2%. Approximate the relative frequency of the second class. I'd say like 32, 33%. As long as you're in the ballpark. If you say 38% for this, I'm probably not going to give you credit for it. But as long as you're in the ballpark, it's good. All right, 27 and 28. Use the frequency polygon to identify the class with the greatest and the class with the least frequency. Class with the greatest is going to be your highest point. So that's at 31. Again, two different ways to report this. You could say 31, or you could say, well, what's in between this dot and this dot? So it would be between, in the class, it's between 28 and 34. I'm fine with either way. This is the more efficient than just saying 31. Then your least frequency. Now here you were at 0, starting out because it can't go below 10. That's where our actual chart starts. So you could say between 10 and 13 or between 40 and 43. I would accept either of those. Okay. Our highest tier is at 8. So you could say between 7.5 and 8.5, or you could just say 8. Either one is fine. Your lowest, now see this one is a lot more steep than this one. And so I would say your lowest area would be between 6 and 6.5. Or I would still accept between 10 and 10.5 because you don't know if there's actually anything in this area. Because it's just dropping down to 10.5 and it's 0 at 10.5. So I'd accept either one of those answers between 6 and 6.5 and 10 and 10.5. Or you could do both. That's really what you're supposed to do, but it doesn't ask for both frequencies. All right, number 29. This is a long one to go over. Really should have done even and on. So number 29, constructing a frequency distribution. Oh, this is great. Construct a frequency distribution for the data set using the indicated number of classes in the table include midpoints, relative frequencies, and cumulative frequencies. Okay, so we're going to need a table. It's going to be a table with 5 classes. So it's going to be 6. And then we're going to need class, frequency, midpoint, relative frequency, and cumulative frequency. So I'm thinking of enough categories. All right. Class, frequency, midpoint, relative frequency, and cumulative frequency. Okay, so in order to find our classes first, we have to find the lowest number, which is 0. And we have to find the highest number. So far it's 39, which is 39. So to do our classes, we're going to go between 0 and 39. So you do 0 plus 39, divide that by 5, because there's 5 classes. So 39 divided by 5 gives us 7.8. So we're going to go, our class width is 8. So you're going to go from 0, 8, 16, 24, and 32. 15, 23, 31, and then you add 7 to this, and you get 39. So we've covered between our lowest and highest. Now you have to count up the frequency. How many times does it fall between 0 and 7? Now when I do this, I literally cross them out as I'm counting, so that I don't lose track. So 7, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Between 8 and 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8. Between 16 and 23. 1, 2. I like doing this in class better because you can catch my mistakes if I don't count them right. Again, there's 3. It's like the hardest part for me. Between 24 and 31. 1, 2, 3. And between 32 and 39. 1, 2, 3. Alright. Hard part's done. Midpoint. We do 0 plus 7 divided by 2. So we give you 3.5. You go up 8. So we give you 11.5. You go up 8 more. So we give you 19.5. You go up 8 more. Gives you 27.5. And then up 8 more. Gives you 35.5. Okay, relative frequency. Now you have to count your total here. So it's 8, 16, 19, 22, 25. You should also do that whenever you make the frequencies. Make sure that you have 25 numbers here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25. So we're good. So now you just do 8 divided by 25. Gives you 0.32. And we'll do cumulative frequencies now too. There's only 8. Then this one is also going to be 0.32 because it was 8. And now you add this 8 and this one to get 16. Then it's 3 divided by 25, which is 0.12. These are all going to be 0.12 because they're all 3. And you just add them. 19, 22, 25. All right, we will pick up there tomorrow, finish this homework review, and then start the new notes.